us wage a global struggle against illiteracy, poverty, and terrorism. And let us pick up our books and pens, for these are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. These are words spoken by Malala Yousafzai on July 12, 2013, her 16th birthday before the United Nations. Though young still, Malala has the courage of her convictions and is perhaps the world's greatest advocate of education for all children, especially girls. An admirer of Miss Yousafzai, since I had read her memoir some years back, I Am Malala, I enjoyed learning more about her life in the documentary He Named Me Malala and through my research on the internet. Today, I'm honored to share with you in just 3 stories this amazing young warrior for the education and rights of children all over the globe. Our first story shows Malala was possibly predestined at birth to lead an inspirational and courageous life. Born in the Swat Valley of Pakistan, Malala was named by her educator father, Zainuddin Yousafzai. She was named after a young girl from Pashtun legend who stopped her countrymen's retreat in a bloody battle with these inspiring words. I quote from the 2015 documentary, He Named Me Malala. "It is better to live one day a lion than 100 years a slave." Though this legendary Malala gave her life in that battle, she first bravely led her people to a victory, and thus her name carries with it 2 meanings. One, sadness, but the other, courage. Zai Yousafzai's dream for his firstborn baby daughter, Malala, was for her to be educated and a leader of her people. He understood she would need courage to accomplish this. As Malala grew older, it became obvious that she was going to live up to the bravery, intellect, and even the oratory skills of her namesake. This next story proved she would be a force to be reckoned with, even for the terrorist group, the Taliban. Beginning at merely 11 years of age, Malala showed her courage by leading her people, specifically other young Pakistani girls, in a battle for their right to go to school. According to her 2014 autobiographical memoir, I Am Malala, she began this fight with an anonymous blog about the horrors of life in the Swat Valley, Pakistan, under Taliban rule on a BBC website. In her view, as a young girl, among the worst offenses committed by the Taliban was being forbidden an education. Knowingly and courageously revealing her own identity, not only to the world outside Pakistan, but to the enemy within its borders, the Taliban, she began to publicly speak out. In a 2011 interview on CNN, she bravely stated, "I have the right to go to school, the right to play, the right to sing, the right to talk, the right to go to market, and the right to speak up." Finally, on October 9, 2012, the unthinkable happened. Malala was brutally shot in the head by a Tlaib would-be assassin on her school bus. But even a nearly fatal gunshot wound at just 15 years of age would not deter Malala from her mission of an education for herself and other disenfranchised girls around the world. In my last story of the accomplishments of Malala Yousafzai, you will see how her fearless spirit won her one of the highest honors the world has to bestow. Even before she left the hospital in England where she recovered from her injuries, Malala and her father used the global attention her story had gained to garner support from both prominent and ordinary individuals everywhere. With her voice and her pen, she established the Malala Fund, an organization which financially supports peace, education, and the humanitarian rights of children. As soon as she was physically able, the then 16-year-old traveled to encourage displaced children from volatile nations like Syria and Nigeria. She did all of these things with death threats from the Taliban still hanging over her young head. Then in 2014, Malala became the youngest person to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her courageous endeavors. In her Nobel lecture on December 10, 2014, Malala stated, "This award is not just for me. It is for those forgotten children who want an education. It is for those frightened children who want peace. It is for those voiceless children who want change. In conclusion, Malala Yousafzai has lived up to the courage of her legendary Pashtun namesake, speaking out for her own rights and the rights of others for an education, and putting action to her words by encouraging children in dire circumstances to learn and raising money to build schools for them. She was honored with the Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts and even used this to draw attention to her cause. At now just 22 years of age, Malala continues to be a brave and powerful advocate for the education of children all over the world, even as she diligently studies for her own degree at the University of Oxford. I leave you with the words she stated so brilliantly in her 2013 speech before the United Nations. Our books and our pens are our most powerful weapons.